In today's video, I'm checking out security in Entra ID. Entra ID or identity is the first port of call that hackers will take in order to take advantage of bad security. So in this session, we're going to beef things up a little bit. Lots of tips and tricks to come, so stay tuned.
Learn with Andy Malone.
Today's video is sponsored by AFI. Secure your cloud data with AFI-powered data protection. Deploy in minutes with 24/7 protection. Try it today at afi.ai. Hello everybody, Andy here. So nice to see you and a warm welcome to the channel. My apologies for no video last week. I had a really bad throat infection. So if I start coughing and spluttering in today's session, you know what it is. Okay, so today what I thought we'd talk about is identity. And really identity in the last few weeks has really kind of come full circle in that there's an increased number of attacks that we're starting to see. Things like, attacks on multi-factor authentication, which I've covered before, attacks on passwords and also hybrid systems as well. So what I thought I'd do in this episode is take a look at kind of 5 kind of top technologies in order to really kind of beef up your security. So we're looking at 5 technologies in Microsoft 365 and Entra ID that can really kind of help you and help your customers achieve great security. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, bump that button up there, ring the bell, and come and join my learning community. And if you'd like more, why not consider signing up to my Patreon site just there? You'll get access to full Microsoft courses, monthly Zoom calls, and lots more. So please do sign up. So I think without any further ado, let's jump in, look at my top 5 security solutions to really kind of beef up your security in identity in Entra ID and Microsoft 365. Hope you enjoy. So for my number 5, I'm heading over to security.microsoft.com, and they've had a bit of a revamp this week. Things are looking really nice. So down here on the left-hand side, we've got the home. We can see right away if we have any incidents, and I'm so glad to say that we don't. And you can also see that you've got the advanced hunting option here, which of course will lead you into Microsoft Security Copilot. As well as that, you've got the all solutions here. So this is a complete list of all the different security solutions that we have in Defender. Now, just a quick mention that Defender is the umbrella name for all the Microsoft tools. And again, some of these you may not have access to, but certainly one that is definitely worth having is the identities option, which you can find down here in the center. And as you go into the dashboard, you get a really nice kind of animated overview of everything to do with identity. And it shows me how many cloud users I've got. Of course, I can click into that for more details. You've also got hybrid options there, as well as any on-premises. Now, how do I get the on-premises information into Defender for Identity? And this is super important, especially if you've got an E5 or E7 plan. You can find this by scrolling down to the bottom, hit the system option down here, and then go into settings. In the settings page, you'll find this identities option. And here, this is Defender for Identity. Absolutely fantastic. One of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add in a sensor. And you can either do this by activating a server. It requires Windows Server 2019 and above. And you can also continue with the classic sensor. Either way, learn.microsoft.com will give you the full documentation here. So super easy, domain controller, simply download the sensor, hit setup, and it will ask you, it will prompt you, do you have an access key? So all I do is just simply copy this access key, paste it in, and you're pretty much good to go. So once you've set that up, it's then activated, and suddenly everything here will start to wake up. So in Defender for Endpoint here, you'll start seeing the dashboard, you can add in things like service accounts, things like you can also set up password protection as well. And password protection used to be in Defender for Identity, and it's also in authentication. But this is really nice here as well. So, for example, things like password hygiene policies, and you can see it connects to things like Active Directory. So if you're in hybrid, it will show you Otka and both Active Directory there as well. Other things are also your password policies that you've created. Now, Microsoft, of course, are constantly monitoring for any kind of leaked credentials. So they monitor about 4 billion leaked passwords. So if there's any of your passwords from your users that have leaked, again, this is where you'll find them. Okay, so for my number 4, I'm going to pop in here into Entra ID, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to come into authentication methods. So for my number 4, we're talking password protection. It's amazing how many people don't use this. So if you've got Active Directory, of course, you're using group policy to protect your users' passwords. But in the cloud, if you're still using passwords, this is all you've got. But what you can do is you can actually integrate them so that they're both in sync. And to do that, we use this. This is the password protection policy for Windows Server Active Directory. So simply come over here, click on the exclamation mark here, and then go into Learn More. Now, this opens up a document on learn.microsoft.com. So scrolling down here, what we can see is the DC agent service, and it's this service that will essentially keep the two password policies, protection policies, in sync. So definitely come into authentication methods, check this out, and go and read that Active Directory option here, and it will definitely improve your security. So for my number 3, I'm going to remain in authentication methods because I have to mention Passkeys. Now, we've talked about Passkeys before, but they can make such a difference to security. And for the user, the benefit is incredible. This is just a demo account, but you can see here, I can simply click next with my username, and it's not even asking me for a username or password here. It's now just asking me for my biometric. I'm using a Mac here, and you can see I'm now authenticating with my fingerprint. So in terms of authentication, in terms of ease, it's great because there are no passwords transmitted. These are what we call phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication credentials. In other words, they generate what we call a public-private cryptographic key pair. The private key is always with the user, i.e. on a physical device, or in the case of a syncable passkey, stored in the user's Apple keychain. A physical device is perfect for administrators who want to create what we call break glass accounts. So a break glass account would work where you have a physical kind of FIDO key, and you would maybe match it with a PIN key, a PIN code, not a biometric, but a PIN code, and you would store that securely in the safe. For synced passkeys, of course, again, as I said, this is synced with your Apple keychain, and it's encrypted directly into that. So from a convenience standpoint, it is very, very successful. Now, we have an option here to enforce attestation. That means to prove who you are beyond reasonable doubt. In other words, it requires, for example, a Windows Hello. Now, in terms of attestation, you can also pick specific AA GUIDs, and these are attestation GUIDs, or globally unique IDs. So by default, of course, you're getting the Windows Hello, which is now in public preview. And of course, there are additional ones that you can also get from the likes of GitHub as well. But I really like synced accounts. I think it's such a convenient way for users, and you don't have to play around with the things like the Authenticator app as well. So there you have it. That's my number 3 synced passkeys. Now, when I started this video today, I told you that I wanted to give you 5 things, 5 features that would ultimately secure your portal, or certainly improve it. And one of those can be found here in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And for my number 2, I'm going to come into Settings, scroll down into Organizational Settings, and I'm looking at specifically Security and Privacy. Now in here, we have this baseline security mode, and baseline security mode is super, super useful, especially if you're a small, medium organization. Maybe you don't have dedicated security people on staff and so on. Now you can automatically assign any settings that you've configured, and it will go off and it will do them. But before you do that, you want to set these up first. So this is the baseline security mode, and we have a number of different filters here that you can have. And as we go through, you'll see there's a whole bunch of recommendations. So, for example, require phishing-resistant authentication for admins. Absolutely, why not? Block legacy authentication. Absolutely. Block new password credentials in apps. Again, absolutely. And if you click onto that, you can see it tells you a little bit about the article. There's a link to a Learn article here, and it also shows you things like how many apps are using this and so on. So to enforce this, you think, yep, that's a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and say block new passwords in apps. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so now that that's done, we can close that one out, and you can see that you now get a green tick there. So things like turn on restricted management for user consent settings. Again, another useful idea. So again, let users consent to apps. Now what that means is, you get these OAuth apps that pop up. So, hey, would you like to sign in with your Microsoft account and so on? Well, we're starting to see a real rise in malicious apps where there's just too many permissions requested from that app, or it's very, very dodgy. And of course, the problem with that is that users just go ahead and they just click on, yes, let's just accept that on behalf of the organization. So this would just kind of curtail that a little bit. So again, I like that feature. Now, as you can see, you've got different categories here. So not just authentication, but you've also got things like files, how to deal with files, and things like rooms and devices and endpoints as well. So definitely come in here, take a look at that, and you can see it's meeting a certain standard here. And then once you're happy with that, you can then go off and you can report that and enable it. So baseline security mode, absolutely superb. Definitely my number 2. Now, come on, no talk on security could be complete without a chat about conditional access, and it's my number 1. But this is not a lesson on conditional access. This is how to protect identities and also admin accounts. And to do that, I've already created a conditional access policy. So I'm going to go in here and just show you a couple of super important settings that you need to get right. Please note, new features, we now have users or agents. So in this case, I'm just choosing specific groups of users here. So for example, this might be admins, this might be users, and so on. As I've said with conditional access, it's never a good idea to do a policy for all users because it typically takes into account all the administrators and you could end up locking yourself out. Target resources. Now, in this case, you do want to create a policy that takes into account just the admin portals and Office 365, okay, for your users. So just these admin portals and or Office 365 for your users. You can, of course, configure network settings, things like only allow on certain networks. But what we're starting to see is hackers are starting to use VPNs to get around this. So this is perhaps where certificate-based authentication might come in. So with conditions, of course, you can set your conditions up, so using a specific app in a specific location, on a specific device platform. Again, a top tip here. So in terms of client apps, only allow browser and mobile apps. make sure that you disabled legacy, because legacy could be seen as a backdoor. Likewise, devices. So devices are great. So typically you can basically say, hey, only allow, for example, device ownership, corporate, manufacturer with Dell, and model X begins with XPS and uses a specific device ID. So in other words, only these devices would be able to connect. Okay, that is gold, my friend. Okay, so again, a little bit more work, but absolutely guaranteed to keep the bad guys away. The other thing that we've got here, one other top tip as well, authentication flows. Please, please, please switch this off. Authentication flows, typically I'm sure you've seen it yourself, you're using an iPhone, you're in a hotel, and you sign into Wi-Fi, and then you go to your iPad or your MacBook or your laptop, and it says, hey, do you want to share your Wi-Fi code with this? That's what we mean by this, okay? So when we talk about kind of sharing, you've really got to watch out with that, because that can cause a real problem, actually. So device flows or authentication flows, definitely something you want to avoid if possible. So assuming that you're going to grant permissions, so again, granting access, that's great. Rather than multi-factor authentication, you might want to use an authentication strength. So an authentication strength, phishing resistant credential, or perhaps even an authentication strength that you configured yourself. Okay, again, very useful. This is the gold mine here, my friends. So session controls. So once you've set that up, the final thing is the session control. You really need to understand this. So you can use the sign-in frequency. Now, if you leave that off, it's 90 days. That means 90 days of unfiltered access. So a man-in-the-middle attack, absolute nightmare. So fix that by turning it, rather than days, let's say even into hours. So basically the user needs to re-authenticate every 3 hours. And of course, that could just be a fingerprint, facial recognition. I mean, come on, it's easy. Okay. Now, you can, depending on your situation, you might be in a bank or a financial institution. Again, you might want the user to authenticate all the time. Okay. So again, you also have that option there as well. Okay. Again, depending on your, obviously your requirements there. Okay. So again, keep it hours, not days, not 90 days. It's crazy. Persistent browser sessions, you can see that this doesn't work. So keep me signed in, basically. This doesn't work because this setting only works with all cloud apps. And I'm only using my 365 portal and my admin portal. Again, things like this is gold dust as well. So require token protection for sign-ins, absolutely perfect for Windows, Mac, and iOS. And this basically prevents token replay attacks. Again, really, really important. Now, if you're not sure about these, you can try them in reporting only mode. And but when you are happy, kick that switch it on to, live. Okay. Now, a good tool, by the way, up here is the what if tool. The what if tool, you can literally say, what if, the user's here using this device, opening this app from this location, what would happen with conditional access? So there you have it. Conditional access, super important to preventing things like adversary in the middle attacks. So there you have it, beefing up your security in Microsoft 365 and Entra ID. Hey, listen, I really hope you enjoyed that and you got something out of it. Questions and comments, as always, get those down below. That's it for this time. Really appreciate you dropping by. You take care. Cheers.